Good evening, every person. Persevering, let me correct that, in the face of adversity. I was having trouble only a little while ago finding a good way to stress an adjective. I found out that I didn't know what an adjective was. The power of accountability and responsibility. Athletes, listen to me all night long. Pacific Union College. Am I to understand that this program here today is a student-led event? I want to pronounce that because it takes time and it takes orderly conduct to do something like this, especially reach me. Now, I'm not saying I'm being bad, but it's kind of hard to reach me sometimes. Thank you to the Black Student Union. Thank you to, of course, the President, Dr. H. Knight. Thank you for your indulgence, President, and caring. And I really mean this. Students need you. And there's other names like Noel Morgan, VSU President. You know how much it takes to do this because you do have your academic curriculum to think of as well. And all the others, job well done. I was thinking about this on the flight here, about 5-hour flight, but that's okay because I left 22-degree weather. Any day I would trade that for this 60s weather you have here. My road in this life have been a very, very long road, but it's a road that I trod with dignity and emphasis. But you see, I'm only a man who has been blessed to stand at a time when standing for social equality was not a safe indulgence. And I also believe when one encounters problem acts linked to social inequality in public, and your reaction is a lethargic, oh well, and I think you are part of the total problem. There are those of us, of course, who believe that keeping quiet, listen to me now, that keeping quiet and not becoming involved in social change might be someone else's duty. Because you may feel that you are protected from social bias because you are protected because you have friends, or you have a good job, or you're a great athlete, or you smile a lot, and have friends in high places. I know this touched some of you out there. I pity your perennial loss. Just because you are not strong or brave enough to do certain emphasizing facts to help society doesn't emancipate you to run and hide. In fact, because of our distinctness, young folks, because of our distinctness, and I use young folks, because you're like us old folks, you come in all colors. The struggle for equality is the same. There's no great difference. Our accountability and our responsibility are more pronounced because we know that inequality is alive and well. So you can run, but you cannot hide. So don't even think about turning to your neighbor and say that inequality or racism doesn't exist, or is sick, or has pneumonia. It don't have no chest pains. It don't have retinitis. It's alive and it's well. But we just have to deal with that fact because man himself is a cause of a lot of erroneous acts which we partake of today. Think about yourself as I go through this. And young folks from Benjamin E. Hayes, who was the longtime president of Morehouse College, he said, "It is not your intolerable environment so much as it is you, the quality of your mind, the integrity of your soul, the determination of your will. This will decide futures and shape lives." And he said, "It must be borne in mind that the tragedy of life doesn't lie in not reaching your goal. The tragedy lies in having no goals to reach for. Furthermore, it isn't a calamity to die with dreams unfulfilled." Think of Dr. Martin Luther King. It isn't a tragedy to die with dreams unfulfilled, but it is a calamity not to dream. And you know, I think of Dr. King in his dream speech many times on August 28th, 1963. And in fact, 1963, I was a 6'3", 160-pound freshman going into San Jose State University right down the road from y'all. He said, and I quote, listen to it, he said, "I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal." You know, Dr. King's dream stood, in fact, it withstood the withering of time. It is not a sin. It is not a shame to dream. I was talking to Reverend out there earlier this evening, and I'm going to tell you, let no man, woman, or child indicate to anybody that overcoming is a dead issue. We should not wallow in despair, folks. Of course we've come a long ways. We've come a mighty long ways. We stand on the shoulders of our forefathers, and it is our responsibility to be accountable for the future generations. Young folks, you may be young, but you are not without duty. Pain is obvious. We all have it. But how you cope with it is not. We handle it in different ways. In the old days when we would, call it the new generation would call it the old school. You know how y'all like to tarry on us old folks by saying the old school, that we can't dial a telephone correctly. Well, you're probably right. I'm used to the old rotary telephone. In fact, the pink one we had in our living room. It takes you 2 minutes just to dial somebody's number, and you probably got the wrong number, or it was on a party line where everybody down your street could hear you talk. At least I did anyway. We got a lot of whoopings by sneaking in on other folks' phone calls. But there was a word back in those days that we heard on a daily basis. On a daily basis. Because it was a word in your face every day. The further geographically south, the more overtly pronounced. The word racism means, my definition, not Webster's, any program or practice of racial discrimination, segregation, persecution, or domination. Any chapter in the Bible, you'll find something dealing with those three conscious words. And we're guilty of all of them. There are those of us from the old school, I just mentioned a few moments ago, who recognize the need to search proactively for answers. And I'm speaking of those students back when I was coming up, especially those of us who stood under the Olympic Project for Human Rights, which you'll hear in just a minute. And in that research, we found much inhuman, unconstitutional bias, and the necessity to aggressively opt for change was not optional. We just had to do it. Reverend, we were talking about that a little bit earlier. It was a duty of accountability and responsibility. You know, it's written in our Constitution that if it doesn't represent us all, the American public, with the same legitimacy, then lobbying to change, oh my God, lobbying to change it is not a crime. It's not a crime. Thus, Mexico City, 1968. the victory stand. I was in my early 20s. I know you're not there yet, students, but in my early 20s, a stand was eminently necessary. Think about this. You know, it's hard, for me it's hard to imagine, in retrospect, the degradation my parents tolerated because of inequalities and unconstitutional treatment. You might say, Coach or Tommy or Dr. Smith, or how did you know? Because folks, I saw it. I was there. I saw it. I felt it. But crying as a little baby, as a little boy, I couldn't do nothing to change it. My life from the victory stand, years later, suggested proactive social change, strengthened by the blood-filled ashes of revolt that redirected social degradation to a pride that is recognized at the top step of the White House and beyond. Sometimes it does take dreaming, and there is no shame in dreaming. You see, the word change is socially more accepted this day than the word revolt. I'm thinking yesteryears now. But the word change can also be confused with the clothes you wore yesterday. There is no ambiguity in the word revolt. I believe the victory stand in 1968 made clear that clothing was not the issue. The issue was, and it still is, equality. Civil, human. Looking around here, seeing who's in charge, seeing who's dealing with each other, seeing who you sit by, we have come a long ways. From the time of forced migration. Many by the shipping from the African continent pre-17th century, from African civilization through New World enslavement, through emancipation and colonization, the abolitionist movement, my goodness gracious, Civil War and Reconstruction, and the Freemen's effort to secure social justice. I spent a lot of time, this is for free here, I spent a lot of time in the cotton fields, right just south of us, for a few hours, in a little town called Lemoore, California, right down below Fresno. Who would I talk to Fresno about earlier? There you go, Coach. Fresno. Lord have mercy. Do not want to go back there to work ever again. I picked enough cotton to fill a whole lot of mattresses, which I slept on too. But look at you now. Look at you. Standing up here listening to a guy who was shot at so many times I can't remember the count. My last hate mail I got, now I'm three score 10 and plus a few. What was it, wife? For about a year ago, maybe 10 months ago, I received my last hate mail. I played for the Cincinnati Bengals. My second day in training camp, I received a letter from Cincinnati. There was a town near Cincinnati that said, nigga. I know you don't like me saying the N-word. I won't say it again. It said, but nigga, here one time with a Cincinnati uniform on, you'll never put another one on. I was shaking. I grabbed it from the mailbox, took it to Bill Walsh, who was my receiver coach. And he took it to Paul Brown, who was the head coach. Paul Brown turned, and he looked at me. He said, don't worry about it. Being in a religious school, I won't tell you my response. I won't ruin my great dinner tonight. You know, many freedom fighters have died on the social battlefield, fighting for dream and visualizing a better existence for us. We're the new wave people who too soon forget the struggle and certainty from which we come. For young people, take my time on this. It's okay to dream. And you don't have to be asleep to dream. There's power in dreaming. But don't wallow in despair if that dream doesn't come when you want it to. Where is your faith? Don't be lethargic in your responsibility to get up and attend those classes set in the curriculum before you, no matter how boring they may be. No matter how boring they may be. Lord have mercy, you know they can be boring. I've been there. I've been on this side of it teaching. I've been on the other side of it sitting there listening to teaching. And I was bored both ways. But I sat through there. Just a little cotton-picking guy who couldn't read until he got to the 5th grade. Saw something. And I strived to get there. But you will intend to want to give up. But don't give up. It's easy to give up. It's like a layup in basketball. It's easy to do a layup. But they are missed also. Take a chance on that three-pointer. And you might hit it. But you must try. It's a long way forward from the back seat of the bus. You don't have to run the 200 meters in 19.83 in front of the world to make a point, only to be ridiculed, followed by social persecution. It has already been done for you. I'm standing as a model. I know that feeling. I know how it feels to run a wall record with a pull muscle. Someone asked me today, what happened? I just did that. So I said, yo! Praise God, whom all blessings flow. You see, I'm for real. I'm the world record holder at 200 meters, 20 flat. I held it 20 flat in 1968 before the final race. I had a pull groin area muscle. Where the groin area muscle is, you don't want to mess with the groin area muscle. You don't want to put ice down there either to try to keep the blood from flowing. You just kind of want to walk around with it. But they put ice on it. So the announcer said, first call, 200-meter final. I'm out on the practice field. So I hobbled down to the field, pulled my uniform off, and stood there. I had to. And watch all the other world-class athletes train and warm up. But I couldn't take starts. Why could I not take starts? I was afraid that I was going to rupture that area growing muscle. What's an area? Where is that muscle? You know where it is. Okay, so let's what is it? It's an adductor muscle. What's an adductor muscle? It's the muscle that controls the appendages from going left to right. Just like a guide arm of a car, front wheel. So I know I couldn't let that left leg go. I stretched that thing in the semi-race, slowing down after I had hit the finish line. Because I wasn't concentrating, athletes, on the finish. Concentration. I pulled it. Dummy, I pulled it. So here I was, standing at the starting line in the final race, an hour and 45 minutes after I pulled it. John Carlos, Peter Norman, Roger Bambo, give me the Jamaican, what's his name, wife? Mike Frey. I mean, everybody. Smiles on their face. The world record holder pulled the muscle. Even the picture stand, the guy said, Tommy Smith has a problem. I said to myself very quietly, no, I don't. They do. And the gun sounded. I was out good. But I was in the 4th place in the middle of the turn. I'm usually in 2nd, in 4th place. I heard the announcer say, and Tommy Smith looked good so far. He shouldn't have said that. He should have just kept quiet and let me take 5th. I pulled up a little bit, straining. I felt the strain. But Lord have mercy. When track field guys, well, I'm track field here, but you know what I mean, basketball players, when you're trying to make that turn after you dump the ball. Straighten up again on the turn, you get that whiplash. I got the whiplash. My left leg came up because my right leg was saying, come on, wow, what's wrong with you? And that was it. Knees came up. 6 feet 4 angle was good. Was in second place. There was only one guy in front of me. One. I felt sorry for him. All I did was pull the throttle. And I had 12 disciples to go. And all 12 of them worked. And that's when the arm went up. Those of you who might have looked at the picture, movie and saw it, that was it. It had been calculated that Tommy Smith had used his brain, I would have ran 1894. We still would have been a world record. Stride was about 8 feet 8 inches. That's pretty long for a stride coming in the middle of a race. That stride was at the end of a race. I never say that in a speech, half my whole life. Never done it in a race. I venture to indicate that the power of the dream I had then far outreached any dream I had before. But it can be the unification of working together in spite of the poor muscle. It may enhance the ability to be creative. So the difference in the injury are alike. You could have a mental injury, or you could have a physical injury. I could have had them both because I had a poor muscle. I didn't know how to deal with it, and I was in pain. Pain is obvious, but how you handle it isn't. So young folks, in all you do, there's a power in the understanding of yourself. There's a power in decision-making of oneself. And the power of a dream must be brought into focus by the vision of both. And we must remain positive. We must remain positive about our social and our civil duties. And don't be afraid to follow your dream. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. But faith without work is dead. You just can't have faith and say, I got it, man. You got to have faith in, you got to go see what's around the corner. You got to continue to work. Dr. Martin Luther King, again, in his 1963 speech, he said, I have a dream. He said emphatically, we must forever conduct our struggle on a high plane of dignity and dignity. We must not allow, and I always question this, I wonder. He said, creative protests to degenerate into physical violence. What does he mean about creative protest? Well, simply it means don't do something that you might get in trouble for. Because you created the protest yourself. Sometimes you have to take those chances. Creative protest. But you also have to be responsible for the outcome. That's called sacrifice. If you have never sacrificed, you have not lived. You lived off of someone else. So make a choice. Make a choice. Faith without works is dead. You know, action may not always bring results, but there is no result without action. And we must continue to do what we can and don't just sit on I can. The 1968 Olympic victory stand in Mexico City was a world platform used by young black men to continually heighten the need to lobby. Come on, we're young folks. But we knew we would not get in trouble if we had something to stand on legally. And it was a right of ours to do this with legal, constitution, civil, and human rights effort because we did nothing wrong. What we did was march to the sound of the Olympic Project for Human Rights that encapsulated all the world. Another thing, we had no time to talk because we didn't know what we were going to talk about. We had the feeling of a necessary need or a necessary move or a necessary sacrifice. And it was using to use one of the biggest platforms that anyone had ever had. And it was done by a young black man. We were told not to do it because we might lose our jobs. Hey, we didn't have a job. We didn't even have a degree. We were doing what we thought was right to highlight the need to move forward. And it cost me a lot. But people said it cost me a lot. I couldn't find work. I was married. I had a son at the time. I was 24. Pastor asked me a few moments ago before we came in, how old were you? I said 23, or maybe 24. I was that confused back then. Threats were a daily occurrence. At 23 or 24-year-old, you walk outside your door, you see a sign on your door, die, and I could read die. And it frightened me. I'm doing this in retrospect. Now, how can one concentrate on his duties when the fear of being shot and your family harmed? But still, here I am. Nope, I had not graduated from college. My degree was social science, because I wanted to be a school teacher. Boy, I wanted to be a school teacher. My minor was physical education, which would have been a difficult major, because I tried it, and military science. What you see is who I am. Stupid looking, I was stupid. But I held on to those, and I graduated. Social science, teaching credential. Milpitas High School. Anybody know what Milpitas High School is? Right south, north of San Jose State. Ravenswood High School, Palo Alto, but that's not there now. It was a black school, and they tore it down. Oberlin College, Santa Monica College, the college, the high school, the grammar school I graduated from, Central Union Elementary School, was my first job. I couldn't read until I was in the 5th grade there, so when I went back there to teach some years later, my 5th grade teacher said, "Oh, Tommy, I'm glad to see you back here after all these years." I left. Glad to see you back. You know, your dad really going to enjoy you coming home this summer to work because he really needs help out there cutting the grass. My dad was a janitor. I just let her talk. Because I remember her pulling my ear. What was that, Missy Yingler, I think? Did you pull my ear all the time? For no reason. I said, yes, Miss Yingler, he's doing a great job. The principal said, okay, all you teachers, come to the next room. We're going to give your decrees for this summer session. Daddy got up and went outside. I got up and went to the teachers. That woman said, no, Tom, you're in the wrong place. Your dad's out there. I said, no, Miss Yingler, I'm teaching the 5th grade, Dad. This is my first year of school teaching. Y'all know what red is? Dr. King also said in 1963, he said, I have a dream that one day in the red hills, he said, the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. That's what he said. You see, I'm living his dream. He said, but not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. He said this in 63. I was a freshman in college. Could barely spell my name. But freedom is ringing from that mountain now because that's my daily workout now. But I had a dream too in 1968. And from that dream came a vision. And from that vision came reality. One thing which has less vision than blindness is being able to see, but have no vision. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist, students, to fly your thoughts in conversation. But first, you must have faith in your takeoff platform in respect to your direction and knowing that everyone will not or maybe never will understand the freedom of expression. Now, I know you've been there because you're students. And you want to get involved in some conversation sometimes, but you don't know how others will take it. Well, get involved in them anyway. That's their problem if they don't want to understand you. But it'll free you up to speak louder next time. Try it. I did it, and it works. The Victory Stand in Mexico City was a grand event for me, though I did not know it. I was doing it because I thought there was a need as a young 24-year-old student. The Olympic Project for Human Rights. It dealt with the racist attitudes of our system right here in these United States. It dealt with South African apartheid insult, along with Rhodesia. It meant the dejection of the current IOC president, Avery Brundage, who banned Jesse Owens from running because Jesse Owens didn't do what he wanted him to do after 1936. Jesse Owens returned home racing horses just to feed his family. He banned Tommy Smith and John Carlos because they showed his true colors. That was okay with me because my message had been sent. And I did not say a word. That fist wasn't for Tommy Smith. That fist was for the educational process of anyone who had a problem like I did dealing with this country. And you don't have to throw a rock and hide your hand. Just tell the truth about your land. Students, offer your suggestions when applicable. And don't forget that the difference in opinions or understanding strengthens one platform to contribute. Don't sit in the back row of society and wish you could have heard what went on. Do not sit there. But if that's the only seat, sit up in it with pride. The sky is limited. We no longer have to speak only when our name is called. In that open forum of conversation, speak with freedom, paid for by the blood so many have spilled so that you can have that seat that you're sitting in. Your contributions are on the open market for understanding, but first, you must get to the gate to receive that ticket for market rights. What are you doing to get to that gate? Attitude is the control center for your life. It will determine how high you will go or how low you will stay. Concentrate on finding your goal, students, and concentrate on reaching it. We spend too much time finding someone to be friends with. Friends come, and then they're gone. If we make friends with ourselves, we'll never be alone. And don't be lethargic in that opportunity to digest differences in opinion. Listen to this. Listen to it. Your learning process must not be absent of epilogue. Don't close the avenue to objective possibilities. Keep it open. You must contribute with suggestion so your understanding of subject matter will be free of confusion or ambiguity and be positive of outcome, though the difference is obvious. It is plain to see that you ain't stupid. But it only takes one mistake for someone to call you stupid. Smile and keep on moving. Waving a hand in somebody's face not only is legally wrong, but it's a waste of time. I can say that now, but I know what you're saying because I know what I would say if somebody told me, if you wave a hand in your face, just turn the other cheek. I I would have said, I only got one chief. I learned early in life that going to battle with light armor was social suicide. So I remained stable in my quest for the opportunity, through faith, to spread light on the evidence of things not seen. So you got to work on that vision, students. Work on that vision. Work on that decision. Anybody. You can be as old as I am, but you still have a decision to make because you got to wonder what door you're going to walk out of. Mexico City, the 19th Olympiad, was my blessing to make a silent gesture heard around the world. A cry for freedom. Constitutional freedom and human deliverance. I didn't give up on society. No way did I give up on society. I merely offered hope through awareness, the victory stand. When you could have, and you did not, limit one expectation of positive involvement. So you've got to ask yourself, what have I contributed to the struggle for constitutional freedom? If you have not contributed anything, well, just simply continue building on your takeoff platform that we mentioned earlier. And give credence to those historical shoulders you stood on for that initial first lift. Do you ever think on the shoulders of others you stood on to get where you are? From presidents to students who are struggling to bypass an F. That covers everybody. I had to reveal what some call a negative silence. A negative silence, the victory stand, to make a positive stand, the victory stand. Sacrifice plagued me, but I didn't permit it to kill my spirit in faith. Dreams are not empty. Young folks, they're not empty. Plant your dream seed deeply and be faithfully accountable. Cultivate those dreams with your life of unmistakable love. It works. I fanned pages, but I lived it. And finally, yay, some folks say, why? It's not a disgrace. It's not a disgrace to reach for the stars. But it is a disgrace to have no stars to reach for. Set it high, students, set it high. Whatever good you do, strive hard to do it well, that no human living, no human dead, and no human born could do it any better. Yeah, it's a chore. But ask your mama when your head popped out, what's a chore? She'll tell you what a chore is. There you are. And you're going to say, this is hard? Life is hard? Life is a bed of roses. But before you hit the roses, you got to do something called thorns. Silver and gold have I none, but such as I have, give I thee. I am constantly giving because I am told to give back. Sometimes I do it good, sometimes I don't do good at all. Sometimes I just don't do it. But you must receive sound if you got the blessing to have it. Work to deliver back more than what you had to move forward. I'm going to leave some time for question and answer. I've been doing up here now, there's about 32 minutes. I want to leave question and answer because I know what I've said, you've understood some, and some you didn't understand, some you don't agree with. I don't care. But I had an opportunity to share. Whether I sound like a third grader or I sound like my daddy used to sound, y'all come him. But most of y'all heard what I said while I'm up him. From the president to that 7-foot basketball player I saw. Are you still here? You see that, y'all? Gone. Thank you all. I do need some questions and answers just to calm down, you know, when you thank you.